The Concession, the story of one of golf's greatest moments. The United States of America versus Great Britain. Golf's Ryder Cup match of 1969, played at Royal Birkdale, Southport, England. America's Jack Nicklaus and Britain's Tony Jacklin were locked in an even match. It's one of the greatest moments in sporting history. One hole would decide the 1969 Ryder Cup as each team's dominant player remained on the course. Jacklin and Nicklaus were arguably the two best golfers in the world at that time. And this is a moment that you couldn't have scripted for tension and drama. History records that Jacklin somehow ignored the pressures of the moment as he holed out a 50-foot eagle putt on the 17th hole against Jack Nicklaus to remain alive in their match. It was one of the putts of my life, one of those you dream about making, said Jacklin. The players then moved on to 18, and the stage was set for Nicklaus. Nicklaus aggressively stroked his bid for the win, but it raced 4.5 feet past the hole. As Jack Nicklaus stood agonizing over his first putt, Tony Jacklin briefly considered conceding Nicklaus's putt had it managed to cozy up near the cup. Now the pressure shifted to Nicklaus. A 3-putt would cost his country the cup. Nicklaus diligently studied his comeback putt and confidently knocked it in the hole. In one of golf's most memorable moments of sportsmanship, Nicklaus stooped down to grab his ball out of the cup and then leaned over and picked up Jacklin's marker, conceding the putt. It resulted in the first tie in the match's history. The pair left the green with their arms around each other's shoulders. This singular act of sportsmanship is roundly considered one of the greatest moments of golf. This moment is remembered as the Concession. Today, it is clear that this event had a lasting effect on the two players. A good friendship blossomed further. The moment now is being celebrated by Jack Nicklaus designing a signature golf course in association with Tony Jacklin called, appropriately enough, the Concession. It's set to open on Florida's Gulf Coast in the spring of 2005. We're here in the clubhouse of the famous Bears Club in Jupiter, Florida, and I'd like to welcome Jack Nicklaus, winner of 18 professional majors, and of course a world-renowned golf course designer, and Tony Jacklin, a golf course designer himself and winner of the 1969 British Open, 1970 U.S. Open, and of course you're both former Ryder Cup players and Ryder Cup captains. Let's go back to Royal Birkdale. It's the Ryder Cup match, it's 1969. Take us through that last day, leading up until the 17th hole when Tony made the 50-foot eagle putt.
Leading up to it, Tony had been whipping my rear end all day long. And he beat me in the morning, and we went around in the afternoon. We got paired again. I was one up going to 17. And our match, we knew that was going to probably be the outcome of what was going to happen in the Ryder Cup. And I hit my second shot on the green, I don't know, reasonably close to the hole, maybe 15, 20 feet. And Tony was a little further out, and Tony held it clear across the green for an eagle, and I missed my putt to go back to even. And we walked to the 18th hole, and I think Tony can better describe that than I.
We then moved to 18T, Jack and I, very quickly realizing that the matches were tied, as were we, so the result was going to be on our game. And we proceeded to hit our tee shots, both hit 3 woods off that last tee there, and into a nice position, leaving us relatively short irons into the green. 8-iron I hit, and I raced off ahead of him through a little sandy, heathery path, and I was off down maybe 10 or 15 yards in front of him, and he hollered after me, "Hey, Tony!" So I, waited. He caught me up, and he said, "You nervous?" And I said, "Jack, I'm petrified." He said, "I just thought I'd ask you, if it's any consolation, I feel exactly the same way you do. Because this, whatever anybody tells you, is an enviable position to be in. The Ryder Cup match outcome dependent on our result on that hole." So I hit my second shot first onto the back of the green, and Jack hit a better shot than me. Well, it ended up going closer to the hole, 15 feet. Mm-hmm. Mine ran onto the back of the green, and I putted up 20 inches to 2 feet. That's his reckoning, not mine. And I marked my ball. Well, he had the 15-footer now to win the Ryder Cup. I mean, many times the story's been told, oh, Jacklin, he gave him a 5-footer, and all that. It was not, that wouldn't have been to give from 5 feet would have been ridiculous, quite frankly. So it was pretty close, but you know, I marked it and then waited because he had his putt now to win the Ryder Cup outright for America. And he took a rush at this putt, and it went 4.5 feet by, which sort of everybody was aghast.
He's got to make the putt.
Well, all his
now-
team
Yeah.
members, all the, you know, the whole thing's.
But now it's-
I'm
now
glad
it's-
it wasn't me that had to make that fourth.
Now it's my putt. Never even thought of knocking the ball by the hole or even having another putt. It was knock the putt in the hole, win the match, win the Ryder Cup, let's move on. And I hit the ball, and all of a sudden I looked up and I said, uh-oh, you shouldn't have done that, Jack. Now you've got yourself something you shouldn't have. And I had this little 4.5-footer Brooks, a little left to right, little slider. And I got up over the putt, and, you know, I'm sitting there thinking about it. I said, man, I better make this. And so I made the putt. I don't know whether it went in the center, in the side, or what, but it went in. And then I looked down at Tony's coin, and I said, you know, I think the right spirit of this match is that Tony and I should tie this match, and the matches should be tied. I felt like what Tony had done that year, winning the British Open, and what it meant to British golf was something very special. And that the Ryder Cup was, in the spirit of the Ryder Cup, was a goodwill match. And if Tony would have ever missed that putt, I felt like, you know, he would have been the choking dog forever. And I don't think he would have ever missed it. But why would you ever want to give him the opportunity when he has been given Britain a hero and giving them the opportunity to really cheer and root for somebody, and they put him up on a pedestal, leave him on that pedestal.
As you picked your ball out, spontaneously you picked the marker up in the one sort of move, as I recall. And you said, I don't believe you'd have missed that, but I would never give you the opportunity in these circumstances.
We were out there playing on a goodwill match between two golfing bodies and tried to play within the spirit of the game. And if it turned out the way it turned out, I thought it was the right way to have it end. And if I had the opportunity to do it again, I would do it every single time. And you know, I think that was the whole basis for why we're here today and why we're sitting here talking and why we're doing a golf course called the Concession.
Yeah, you guys were great competitors, and now you are allies in a collaboration on this new course. Let's talk about the Concession.
Well, the Concession is a concept that I'm sure that maybe Tony came up more with than I. It's an idea of taking the two of us and the spirit in which we played the Ryder Cup and the spirit of that concession, and taking it into a facility and a golf course and a project that is built around the spirit and the camaraderie that the two of us have developed through years from being from totally different places, but the game of golf brought us together. Mm-hmm. And we feel that we hope that the game and the course that we're doing will bring a lot of other people together to enjoy and play this wonderful game that we've played all our lives.
Well, I mean, I think Jack's said it all there. I don't believe, I may be wrong, but I don't believe there's been a course built around a moment, dedicated, if you like, to a moment. And I don't think there's a greater moment that one could be dedicated to, because it's not about him and it's not about me, it's about both of us, it's about golf. To me, this is not just another golf course, it's the golf course. I'm 60 next year. I don't get a great deal of pleasure out of playing tournament golf anymore. I'm ready to settle down somewhere, and what better place to settle than this?
Is this the kind of course that's going to be worthy of future tournaments?
I mean, if we get the Ryder Cup, it's going to be 16 years before we can get it. Now, we may be pushing daisies up by then, but there's a pretty good chance of that. But I think 2020 is the first time we could get it. But there's an opportunity to get other events there. Mm-hmm. Because there's no home sites around the golf course.
But, you know, tournament golf is going to be played there maybe once or twice or 3 times over the next 10 or 15 years. Tournament or back tees will be used probably less than 2% of the time. What we've got to really do is make sure that we do a golf course for the people that are going to live and play there. A golf course that people can enjoy, people can have fun, and done in the spirit of the Concession. And being able to get together, bring people from, hopefully people will come from across the Atlantic or across the Pacific as far as that goes, and come to the Concession, enjoy it, have fun, reside there, and play golf in the spirit of the game in which we feel like Tony and I think it should be played.
We've got 500 acres of pristine land. We've got 2 entrances. We've got a north entrance that enables us to bring people in there without disrupting any of the residents who'll be living on the, on another part of the property. So I think it lends itself to tournament play.
Let's talk a little bit about the design of the new course and how you're hoping that it might be a little bit different, because the area is so pristine with all the magnificent trees and the wildlife, and it has that old Florida feel before all the logging and the farming came in. Now, how is the course going to work with all the natural beauty in the surroundings?
We've got a nice piece of property. We've got some great, we've got some oak hammocks, and we've got some cypress heads. We've got some open areas. We've got some sloughs. We've got a variety of property which we'll work in and out of. I think we can make the golf course as good as you want to make it. We've got a layout, and we've got drainage, and we've got a mixture of holes. In other words, we've worked on having the par 3s in opposite directions, the par 5s in opposite directions. We try to have a balance of left to rights and right to lefts. So we try to put that within the property and within what we've got. And then from there, you start putting golf holes into that. Now, whether we'll put golf holes that resemble Birkdale from Concession, I mean, we may end up having the 18th hole at Birkdale be the last hole. I mean, it would probably be appropriate. Whether they resemble anything else or whether they have a personality of their own, I don't really know at this point. We'll find some things that will actually turn out to give it a personality. But at this point, I wouldn't say what the personality is going to be.
Any final thoughts on the Concession, Tony?
I just can't wait to get my teeth stuck into it, and see this place evolve. But again, I don't have any preconceived ideas other than wanting it to be as good as it can possibly be, and being there to see that it is. Once that's done, I mean, it's going to be my responsibility, I think, ongoing, to see that it's always in the right shape, keep an eye on everything, and make sure that we have something that will live beyond us. There's lots of golf courses in our area. I want to do the golf course. I want it to be, my dream for it is to be on a par with a sort of Augusta National type standard, that, building something extra special beyond just an ordinary golf course, because I think the moment justifies it. We've got all this history behind it. We have a responsibility to build something special, and I want it to be the golf course on into the future when we're long gone to this world.
Jack, your final thoughts?
Well, I think Tony said it very well right there. I just say that when we do open this golf course in 2005, well, I just hope we can both break 80 on opening day.
Well, that's another story altogether.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Tony, for giving us an insight into the Concession and what it will be all about come the spring of 2005. And you've also given us a stirring picture of the Concession in 1969 at Royal Birkdale, and you've made us feel part of a great moment in sporting history. One of the great moments of golf will now have a permanent home. It's called, appropriately enough, the Concession. A magnificent Jack Nicklaus signature golf course and a very special new gated community that will set new standards for privacy and exclusivity on Florida's Gulf Coast. In this special setting, Jack Nicklaus and Tony Jacklin are creating the Concession, a gated community that offers 2 distinct residential neighborhoods in theme with the Ryder Cup tradition. Birkdale, named in honor of Royal Birkdale, site of the 1969 Ryder Cup and the Concession. And Lindred, home of the 1957 Ryder Cup match, and interestingly enough, where Tony Jacklin attended his first Ryder Cup match as a spectator with his father. 255 home sites offered in 1/2 to over 1 acre lots will give new meaning to the luxury golf lifestyle. Meticulous attention to style and detail will define these highly desired communities. It's a lifestyle that upholds the grand traditions of the game and expresses the success of those fortunate enough to call the Concession home.